Welcome to Heart Home Community's most recent Baldwinsville Community Update. I'm your host, Shelley Hoffman. We hope you enjoy the show and find it very informative. Hey everybody, it's Shelley Hoffman, and I'm here today with Frances Sabin from the Town of Van Buren. And I don't know if you guys watched last month, but I was very impressed with a lot of things Frances is telling me. So I've been looking forward for any updates or new things because my daughter's looking for that Taco Bell, Frances. I'm not gonna lie.
All right, well, let's start off with some good news then. That is still proceeding. I don't know exactly when the construction will start, but that is still proceeding as a go. So hopefully your daughter will be happy shortly. So,
perfect.
Although you might not be, but I'm sure there are a lot of people, because I'm not going to say youngsters, because there are a lot of people that just would like to have something different. So.
Absolutely. And even just not to have the 84 lumber empty building there, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, man.
So what else is going on?
This show wouldn't be the same if we didn't have another technical problem this month. So, one of these, a year down the road, we'll be fine. So
that's right. My favorite piece, though, is you just go with it in stride. And it was probably maybe April or May last year we tried to do the first one, and we spent hours the evening before. Remember? It wasn't minutes; it was hours together. That was how we got to know each other so well, I think, is trying to figure it out.
Kate Halloran, our deputy town clerk, was helping. I wasn't able to get it. She was working on it. We finally got it through her, and now we seem to be doing okay. Once we get up and going, we're doing fine. It's just that little start. So
absolutely. Yep.
Okay. Well, I think another piece of good news to start everything off is I have spoken with the town parks department, and they are in the process of getting ready for an Easter egg drive-through this year up at the parks. So
what is that going to look like, Frances? Do you know?
We're looking at 200 time slots where cars will drive through, and it'll be for 2-year-olds to 10-year-olds. It won't be the actual going and finding the eggs as has been the case in the past, but this year, this is how we're going to make it work. So I know Kathy and Heidi up at the parks are very excited about trying to get this up and going, just for something normal, as we've been saying for the last couple of months. So I know that you will have to register with the parks, and you'll be assigned a time slot because we can't have, 75 cars in line waiting. So, but I do know that they are up there filling all these various eggs. So, they're really excited to get this one going for a change.
Any chance you know the dates yet? Or is that something that'll be announced soon?
I would say the date, but I don't want to get it wrong. And I know Heidi was saying that they will have it up on both the park website and Facebook page, and then the town website within, fairly shortly, probably a week to 2 weeks. Perfect. So, but everything will go, the registration will go right through the parks department. So you'll have to call to get your time slot.
Okay.
So, but hopefully there'll be a number of very happy, well, maybe not 2-year-olds. I don't know that they quite understand it, but kids up to 10 years old, I think will have fun with it. So, and it's just been such a strange year, as we all know, that I know Heidi is really, really excited about getting this going. So. Yeah.
Well, they really didn't have too much. They had so much cancellations, right? And then in the fall, it was unknown. So this will really be the first thing that the parks in Van Buren's putting together. So that alone is a very optimistic thing to think about, that things are going to be happening. It's not going to be that quiet crickets like it was in the summer and the fall last year. So that's nice.
Yeah. The other thing is, I know everybody is waiting anxiously for us to come out with, are we doing day camps? Are we doing summer lawn camps? What's going on with the pool? And right now, we still do not have enough guidance either from the county or from the state or the CDC to give us exactly what we need to proceed going through all those programs. But I know Heidi and Kathy have spent a lot of time going through the details of how do we make the pool work, or how do we make individual programs work, week-long programs versus summer-long playground programs. And they're working with the 6-foot social distancing, possibly 3-foot social distancing. You still have to look at disinfecting everything. And so they are trying to get things ready. And again, they're actually still having some trouble getting, what do I want to say, people to run these programs.
Yeah. So
instructors, oh man, I guess I haven't had enough coffee yet today. But, that's an important part too. So they are working very diligently at trying to get something ready. And we're hoping, another month down the road, April, the Parks Department meets with the Parks Committee, and they really, really are hoping that they can give us some news for the summer, because they know that parents need to know what they're going to do with their kids during the summer.
Right.
And
I've seen that from a couple of my friends. They want to sign up for something, but there's not even signups yet because people are still figuring out all those pieces. So,
right.
And you want to do it, you want to plan it so that it's safe. You want to be within the guidelines. You want the parents to feel safe. There's a lot of moving pieces that it's never an easy thing to do, right? And then you add all these restrictions on top of it. So,
right. And with the social distancing, some locations may only have the availability if we had 6 feet of social distancing still required. They might have 7, 8, 9 kids. And then I probably should say children rather than kids. And then if it's 3 feet, maybe they can have a few more. And then you still have to make sure that the children are going to be safe underneath the pavilion if there's any sort of weather. And I don't think some people realize all the details that they go through to make these programs work. So, they're going through everything possible up there to try and figure out something that we can have this summer.
Oh, good.
And right now, people have still been sledding. Well, maybe not the last couple of days, and hopefully not to disappoint anybody, but I really don't need any more snow. But when they have been up there, people have been not quite as conscientious or as protective as they should be, because some are going down some trails that they're not supposed to be going down. People have gotten hurt up there. I know Heidi gets a call every time something happens and the ambulance or fire truck or something has been sent up there. And, unfortunately, people just haven't been as safe sledding. And I mean, I remember, and maybe you remember, when as children we would go out sledding, you had one hill and you got off the sled before you hit the tree.
Yes. Well, hopefully.
Hopefully, and you don't go skiing through trees if you're not experienced enough. So again, and then people were just on the pond, which you can't be on the pond. Nobody wants something bad to happen and have just that one little piece of ice that isn't quite thick enough to hold somebody up. So I know some people have been spoken to about staying off the pond, but again, it's for their own good. So, we want you to enjoy the park. Cross-country skiing, I don't know if it's going to be available anymore as I look out the window. So I got some in.
It depends if it snows again, Mary Frances. If it snows again, maybe. I mean, I'm with you. I don't know if you noticed on my page, I had someone get stuck in my driveway in the snow. That was it. I was done with snow at that moment. But But it is pretty. It's much prettier than what I'm looking at, right now outside. So I either want it to snow and make it all pretty again, or just go away, be done with it, and let the leaves and the trees bloom, and the things that we look forward to in spring. But
Absolutely.
we have no say in that.
Yeah, Monday night was enough. Between the high winds and the snow, that was just like, okay, I'm done. Move it along. Just let's go to the next season and kind of go from there.
So what's that saying? March comes in like a lion, out like a lamb.
Let's hope so. I think last March I was transplanting hostas, and for some reason they stayed. They bloomed. They were gorgeous. So maybe we'll get that type of weather again this year. We can hope.
We can hope.
Yeah. But as it does get nice, and people are out picking up the sticks from all that have fallen off the trees due to the wind or the snow, whatever. Van Buren has an outdoor burn ban from March 15th through May 15th. So you can only do it with a permit, and there's obviously guidelines that you can't be too close to a structure or a house or a property line, and it can't be any higher than, I believe it's 7-8 feet.
Okay.
Because if you have embers flying, you only need one or two of those to set off a fire in an entire neighborhood.
Yeah.
So, codes officer wanted me to remind people of that because, I remember last spring getting out there, getting everything ready. And if you don't have your permit for okra over in Amboy here to take all your tree limbs, some people still do burn them. So, but, so I don't know if that's a good thing that we have to mention that, or if it's a, not so good thing. We'll say it that
at
way.
least you throw it out there and people know. They can't say that nobody told them they couldn't do it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And they can get the forms, the zone code on the website, or call the codes office, and they'll be happy to go through it with you. Okay. And Casey Palmer, our codes officer, was mentioning that people still have been in the house for a long time, and now they're planning on some more home renovations, adding a deck, putting in new steps, whatever. And if you're going to be doing any sort of construction, to get the permits early and get them filed. He said it's getting pretty busy at this point in the year, as always happens. But just to go ahead and get that information as quick as you can and get it into rotation. So, all right. Trying to think of what else. Oh, just from a personal standpoint, I know the highway guys were out a few weeks ago, and they were clearing off the sewer grates at the street corners and whatnot, just from any leaves that have fallen over the winter. And if you have a grate in front of your house, it would be nice if you could help out and move those dead leaves and whatnot off that grate to allow the snow that is melting to get into the grate rather than causing floods on down the line. So I know those guys were out doing a lot of them. Was it a couple of weeks ago or something when it was really nice? So just something, as a homeowner, to do not only for yourself, but for your neighbors as well. So I know when I've done some walks around the neighborhood, and I'll go and scrape stuff off. I probably should have maybe boots on or something, but I don't want to ruin another pair of sneakers doing it. So
that all sounds good. Anything going on with the meetings you guys had recently, or any updates you can share from those?
Actually, probably the biggest topic is the potential sale of the Krego Farm to Brolex Corporation, who is actually doing the development down in Seneca, the old Seneca Golf Course at Traybrook. And I know there are a lot of people very upset that this build could potentially go through.
Yeah.
There is a change.org petition where people want to stop it. But the town has received a valid application. So we have to go through the steps to see if this is something that the town will change the zone from residential 40, which means that homes can be built on 40,000 square foot lots, to what's called a PUD. So you can have apartments and single family homes.
Yeah.
I know that there's some concern about all of the artifacts that were found back when NIMO was installing a gas line up to Oswego back in 84, 85, maybe through 89. So, it's a historic area around the river. But again, the town has to follow the procedure. And with that, there are 2 listening sessions. One is March 23rd and the other is March 25th. And you can get that Zoom link information right on the town website.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did have a couple people ask me when those meetings were, when they could listen. So I was hoping you would mention, the dates for the people that are interested in hearing what's going on.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know how it's going to go. I do know that they have to submit a traffic study, and we can always ask for more information if we don't think that the study is sufficient. And I know that the engineer has already been in contact with SHPO, which is the State Preservation Historical Office. So, you throw around all these little abbreviations and it's like, what are you talking about? Or somebody will say, well, that's the old so-and-so farm. And I'm like, okay, can you give me an address? Because I'm not familiar with so-and-so's farm over here. I do know that they are already, have been contacted, not only by the town, but by a member of the community. So, that process simply has to go through, that application has to go through the process. And as a town board, that's what we are required to do.
Right. No, and I think people understand that. They just, they want the information. They want to know that their voices are heard. And they want to make sure that, what's right for that area for the majority is probably, the direction that it will go. But you are right. There's a lot of chatter about it around, not just the town of Van Buren, but the village of Baldwinsville, the town of Lysander. People are interested in that, what's going to happen over there on that property. So,
yeah.
Well, I'll be curious when we meet again in April, because both of those meetings will have taken place. Mm-hmm. So I got to believe I'm going to be asking questions about that one. Yep. Anything else going on?
I think 2 other real important things were last week, Assemblyman Magnarelli had his annual town hall where he gets, and it was a Zoom, obviously, and he wants constituents to give him information about the upcoming budget. He wants to hear what we all have as input for that. And I know one of the counselors had said, what are you doing with the traffic light at 690? Because way back when, I think it was scheduled to fail in 2015. And by scheduled to fail, it's what the state highway grades as an intersection for failing. Now, I'm not going to go into that because I don't know that well enough. But the last we knew, that traffic light wasn't even scheduled to be installed until 2023.
Okay.
So, that's a long time from having failed to getting it resolved. And I know Assemblyman Magnarelli has been talking with Matt Driscoll from the Thruway Authority, not the Thruway, New York State DOT. And we're also talking, Assemblyman Magnarelli is also talking with the Thruway Authority about the Canton Street Bridge, which the Thruway isn't sure if they're going to repair or just tear down. Right. And that's a vital avenue of traffic. And I know we've had a lot of business people. We've had the fire service. The ambulances have chimed in that they really need that to be repaired.
Yes.
So, we appreciate Assemblyman Magnarelli's help with that. And I know State Senator John Mannion has also chimed in, and he is pushing for that to be restored as well.
Well, hopefully, is there a time period where a decision needs to be made on that, or is it just kind of a wait and see as people discuss it, it comes up and goes away in discussion?
It's got to come up sometime soon from a budgeting standpoint. I would think that the Thruway Authority has a 4, 5, 6, 7 year plan as to what they know needs to be done from a funding standpoint. Right. So, it's, if they've known about it and they have it scheduled for 2023, the concern is going to be, what has the pandemic done in limiting funds? But again, that throughway was supposed to take care of its own repairs through the tolls. And long time ago, everybody was told, once it's completed, the tolls will go away. Yeah. So, I haven't seen the tolls go away yet.
No. I don't really think that's going to happen, but you never know. Things do happen, things do change, but I'm kind of with you on that one. So.
Yeah. But if the tolls have to stay to get that bridge replaced, all for it.
Yeah.
So.
No, I agree.
Okay. And probably the last thing would be when somebody wants to complain about a neighbor's property, we have a complaint form that we have had for years. Now you just have to sign it so that we can actually act upon it. Before, you could just send it in anonymously, because it's tough to have neighbor pitted against neighbor, if you will. But it's important for the person that has their property being complained about to know who actually is making the complaint. So, and we're not out there by any means looking to clean up anybody's property. But when something comes before us, again, that's the role of the town to go ahead and review that. But we can't do that without a signature.
So the form has always been there. So let's just say that you want to make a complaint against my property. Okay, and I'm not giving anybody ideas. Nobody do that, please. But you want to make a complaint. You used to be able to just submit a form anonymously, right? So and I'm just going to throw this out there. So if you had actually had an issue with me as a person, technically you could complain about my property. Now that you would have to sign it. But even if you would have done that, wouldn't the town have to go out and make sure it's an actual legitimate complaint?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So adding the name to the form is really just so that I know who it is, or am I not told who it is? It's just so the town knows who's making the complaints.
Initially, the town knows, but with the reforms that have come through, if something ends up going to court, if the homeowner with the violation doesn't correct it, and it ends up proceeding to go before the town judge, the owner of the violating property has the right to know who has complained about it. And because of that, we have to have everything signed.
And that makes sense. I just wasn't sure if you filed a complaint against my property and the town came out and said, oh, no, Mary Frances is right. Shelley really needs to take better care of her property. If at that moment they said, just so you know, it was Mary Frances who filed the complaint, or if it had to go farther than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't believe we would ever at that point say, unless the person specifically says, well, who's complaining? And then unfortunately, you don't want the codes officer to be caught between a neighbor dispute about something else.
Right.
We're just looking to what is in the codes. And that's all we're looking to make sure that the entire community looks good.
Right. No, there's definitely a reason for it. I just, in case other people had questions, I always assume if I have a question, Mary Frances, then somebody else might have the same question. So I just throw it out there and try and get that information. So,
yeah,
but again, that was not a hint for anyone to complain about my property. That was just.
No, 99% of the town residents, homeowners are very good at keeping their property up. And they're just as in anything else, there's going to be 1, 2, maybe 3% that don't take care of their properties. I know some people are saying, well, they're elderly and they can't take care of it.
Yeah.
Well, as a good neighbor, if somebody needs their lawn mowed, couldn't you just offer to go do it? And then if somebody the property owner assumes that you're just going to keep doing it for them, well, then you work with them to get help for them on a regular basis. But, as a town, we're usually pretty good at helping each other. So that's what we're hoping will happen as well.
90% of the time, it's just communication. As long as people are communicating, the issues are not as big. It's when the lack of communication is there and everybody's doing something separately and they never come together that the disputes tend to happen. So no, I can see that. So
and that goes back to the permits. If you're going to be doing work on your house and you're going to be changing the electrical or adding a room or something, you still have to have a permit for that. So it can be checked that an electrician has actually done the work and it's correct and it's not going to be a fire hazard. So if somebody's in that situation and somehow that information comes to us, that's just part of building codes statewide. You have to have building permits for certain construction projects. So,
well, and even to that, speaking back to my industry, is it's helpful when you go to sell your house, if you had some electrical work done, to have the permit, right? And it shows that it was checked. If you add a room and you want to include that square footage and you have the permit, it makes it easier when you go to sell the property if you do it correctly as you're going through that process. So,
right. Yeah, absolutely. So, that's all that's going on right now. Probably the biggest thing is the Krego Farm sale. And again, just to make sure everybody understands, that's a private lot that those people own that are trying to sell. And I don't know if everybody realizes it's been up for sale for many years.
Yes.
And if you've ever driven by Krego Road over by Tops, that sign, it's not a little sign that you're going to miss by any means.
No.
And similar to the Seneca Golf Course, which was open or up for sale for numerous years. It's still a private parcel that the owner has the right to sell it. What gets developed, however, is different,
Right. And it might not even be necessarily what the owners were looking to have done with the property, but if it's been on the market for a long time and they have a reason to sell, and this is your one opportunity to sell it, hopefully people take that into consideration too, that it's not like they necessarily marketed for this type of a sale. It's just what's coming to possible fruition.
Right.
And I do have a couple people that in my circle that have great ideas for that land, but they're not in any position to buy it. So I said, well, maybe you can get some investors, maybe, you know what I mean? Like you never know, but if you don't own the land, then you don't have the right to say what happens on the land.
Yeah.
But it's because it's coming to you to make a change. It's coming to the town to make a change that you can talk about it and do the pros and the cons. Like you said, the traffic patterns, what's going to be the impact of changing that zoning, right. That's what people can talk about. So,
yeah. And similar to the Seneca Golf Course property, that was zoned as residential 40. So again, you could still build houses there. It's how dense it is, what's it going to do to traffic on 48?
Yeah.
And another consideration is what is it going to do to the schools? And the community needs to know that the board looks at that because obviously the schools are at maximum capacity right now. And from their standpoint, 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, what's it going to do to capacity? So, those are all things that we all understand and we all take a look at. So,
yeah, well, going back to your point about the parks and coming up with programs and stuff, everything that the town does, I mean, there's all these little pieces that need to be looked at this direction, this direction, this direction. It's not just one person, having a cup of coffee, making a decision and going on with their day. There's a lot involved in those decisions. So I think people understand that.
Yeah. Yeah. Heidi and Kathy have put in numerous hours trying to figure out how to make stuff work this year.
Right.
And we want it to work by all means. So
it will.
The last thing is, if you have a problem getting a vaccination, you can contact, if you're a senior, contact the senior center, or you can contact via phone also Upstate Medical University or possibly the county health department, because the thing that's going to get this situation in a better light is as many people getting the vaccine as possible.
Yeah.
So, and if you have a problem, especially if there's somebody that's not, that is technologically challenged, I'll say, as we have been with trying to get this.
That was us. Yes.
Just make that phone call, and there are people that are ready to help you. So. Yeah,
I agree. And I heard on the radio real quick when I was driving in to talk with you today here that the fairgrounds is starting to be 24 hours. I mean, not yet, but they're making plans just around the clock vaccination. So that'll be helpful as well. So.
Absolutely. And it's wonderful that Merck and Johnson & Johnson, which are definitely competitors, are working together to get more vaccinations out there.
Yeah.
So, and there was concern, were these rushed? And for the most part, no, they're not. So if you look at what everybody says at the CDC, no, go get it. This is going to be the best thing to help us get out of this situation and back to somewhat of a new normal.
Yeah.
If you will.
If you will. I agree. So, well, thank you as always for your time, Mary Frances. I'm not going to lie. I'm looking forward, not that I want to rush through March, but I'll be looking for April when we talk again, just to see the updates, with the farm and whatnot, because it is a hot topic, at least, around my circle. So
yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, enjoy your sunshine. Let's hope there's no snow between now and then, and you can do all your planting.
Thank you. Great. Just what I'm looking forward to.
Same. Well, not planning for me. You planting, me appreciating the beauty is what
There you go.
Talk with you soon.
Okay. Bye. Thanks. Have a good day.